All right, here we go again.
So it's not just here. It isn't like this entity in this location in Butler County has uh, this way for that activity to occur. What it is somebody comes into the area that's cursed. It's kind of like, okay, so you're living your life. Some drug dealers put a contract on you, right? And it costs, to get it done, it costs $1 million. But where you live, there's only, not so much money to do that. Then you go into Butler County, there's $1 million to do it. Metaphysically, that's what's happening. Could be physically, I don't know. Right? Because the spy operators have to get paid. Thanks. Now, also the phenomenon is this one, I spoke on it before. When somebody tells you they know they shouldn't have done something, don't buy it, because cops use it all the time. Like, oh, the guy even said he shouldn't have done it. He knew he shouldn't have done it. No, he doesn't know, or she doesn't know. Because if they did, they wouldn't do it. Do you understand that? Can your minds reach those heights of intelligence? So if somebody tells you, you can just tell them. You just tell them, look, no, it's an illusion in your mind. You didn't know you weren't supposed to do it. That's why you did it. So what happens is, it happened to me yesterday. Like, you knew you shouldn't have done that. That's why that got screwed up. No, if I knew, I wouldn't have done it. Right. But you have an inkling, okay? It's an illusion. It's a spell. So Satan has this possession of the mind that his people use, that you believe that you did something wrong when it's their curse, right? And their will. So they're willing you beyond your capability not to do it. They possess your mind. It happens all the time, even if you're Donald Trump, even if you're a bigger person. Now, what they wanted me to believe yesterday is that it was Donald Trump or Donald Trump's people. Right. No, it could have been Elon. Still could have been Elon. They did it, that hating on the Secret Service lady. Right. I mean, he's a billionaire. He has to be more. That's why this in the scripture it says it's more difficult for a rich person to get into heaven than for the eye of for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, because they have that projection. There's actually a metaphysical, mechanical thing behind it. They're going to. It's better not to affect someone's life than to affect someone's life with a curse. Right. Again, the way I curse is simply different than the way they do it. So I did find my vacuum cleaner, and I know Arnica works because I didn't put it on my thumb, but I put it on my toe, and my hit both of those sections. Right. I ended up taking a tumble. Right. But the swelling is worse on the thumb, so I just put Arnica on the thumb. So, and another curse that I picked up yesterday is they're trying to get me stuck in both storage units for another month. Again, it's part of burning all my money. Right. So that's part of that curse too. So there was no way for security to be better than it was. I suspected that anyway. But yesterday solidified. I wasn't even thinking of it, so don't think oh, you failed yesterday just so you could say it. I don't. That's their mind. My mind's not like that. I just want a peaceful life with a woman. That's all I wanted. And go to church back then. But now to find out the church isn't even fucking remotely real in any way. Right. You're the ones that decided to operate me that way for so many years. Right. Well, the sexual operation is actually an attempt to make me a shooter, make me violent. Right. It's that there's a psychology to sexual abuse, uh, and that includes causing violence in the victim. It's like kids acting out. It happens to adults too. If you like, we see the murder cases, right, right. So those are like the difficult murder cases. Right. I don't know if that woman's still in jail or they got her out. I think it was Chicago. I can't remember. It was a Spanish woman, young woman, I think. She killed her pimp. She was keeping an eye on that case. Thank you, marriage. Politics causes us to lose focus on serious issues like that. Like I don't remember how old she was, but she ended up killing her pimp, and I think they prosecuted her for murder. And right, moral of the story is don't kill your pimp. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm glad I'm not in that position. You know what I mean? To have to make those decisions, right? So I was able to saw off the legs on the lower part of the arc, which makes it just a little more easy. It's more stable. Well, it got damaged on the it's just bizarre. You could tell it's Satan. The way it got damaged, it's like kind of shredded the bottom of that particular leg. So all those people. So all those, like, if you're projecting, I don't project, so I can't even curse you. I've already said that. And a lot of times, what I'm doing or was doing, I'm not doing as much now, is you have to. There's entities on the internet that might try to radicalize you, but it has to know I believe it's AI, and I believe it has to know that you're a real person, and you have to be convincing, right? So if you want to see if somebody radicalizes you, again, so there might be a thing on the internet. If I go, F you, Elon, you're a piece of shit, I know it exists. I may have, I don't think it's healed. I think it's even an X. Right. He'll try to radicalize me against Elon. But it has to know you're a real person, which means just a persona may not work. The persona, okay, so they had personas in the Attorney General's office in New Mexico, and they were on Facebook. The personas were kids. I'm not sure what that was. Right. As far as what did the entity know? Like, did it know it was actually the U.S. or the New Mexico Attorney's Office, or somebody related to that? Again, AI makes mistakes, so you can't believe that the AI is perfect in what it does while you're doing. Now, one day it may be, but it may not have been able to add 2 and 2 and come up with 4. Put it simply. You remember how some people are real smart but stupid, right? They have no common sense and stuff. So it's kind of AI is kind of the same way. Right. So it may have thought that it was a kid related to a family or a member of an attorney or something like that, and may have been trying to cause issue for the attorney. They hate. AI is sneaky. Right. I can't tell you whether they could figure it out or not. But again, the traditional things that we use, and I'm hoping you hear me because I'm over a couple rooms. The traditional things that we use to create personas doesn't work with AI, because AI could say, "Well, the life doesn't make sense." Right? This is what I should see online about this person, and I don't see everything I should see. Now, there's other reasons besides that kind of thing. Right? Like you may actually do something to erase part of your history, or whatever it is. Like those services, I think I have one. And I think I paid for it. I don't even look at it. it like removes me from everything. It doesn't have to be. Yeah. So your agents all should, and maybe you may want to actually pay for it. The agents should have, once they get right away when they get into the government, they should be put into that thing. I don't remember what it's called, but it removes you from call lists. It removes you, so they should have access to an account. So the government might want to contract that themselves. So even if they dox you, there's not that much information. Right. Actually, I don't remember what it's called. I have to look it up. I can't. I couldn't even get to it right now if I tried. It's just like constantly moving, removes me from lists. Every so often, it gives me a report. Right. So your agent should do that immediately, like in the academy. That should be set up, and they should be instructed on how it works. There should be actually a class in the academy. Great. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, they got me pretty good. Yeah, again, it was one of those things. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done it. I knew better. No, I didn't know better. You can't not do it. I figured it out after it was done. I'm like, yeah, they were blind in my mind. Right. Yeah, thanks, Larry. Best I see. So you may even have had thoughts like, "Oh, I knew I should have did this security this way, or I should have did security that way," but it's not real. Right. Thank you, Larry. So I have to I'll be in a little bit of pain for a few days. It's weird because there's another curse. They put a curse on me that if I heal, that I get sick again or something like that. Because yesterday my back was like the best it's been in a long time, and then this happened. So again, that's how the curse is effectuated. It all comes together. Right. So again, the state police are cursed. I'm sure the other police departments are cursed. Combined with the curse on Trump. Right. Excellent. Why is some of these going on with it? Amazon? Is there a holiday coming up? Where are we? I guess Halloween. The delivery's slowing down. Right.
No, I was just glad I didn't hit my head. I mean, it was a successful fall. Right. It kind of went the best way it could have went. But, yeah, curse on there. There's a bunch of curses met. Curse on getting the ark completed. All of that. Actually, the prices on certain things aren't terrible, but the quality's cheaper on Amazon on some of the stuff. Like the difference of wood laminate versus like a paper laminate. Paper laminate's like everywhere, right? So it's just not what it used to be as far as cheap furniture not being cheap, you know. Right. I mean, the prices aren't terrible. I mean, inflation, it's actually probably some of the things I'm looking at based upon inflation is probably almost cheaper or about the same price. There's a NASA squabble going on with Elon there. I'm not sure what. In reality, if we're going to cut money, I think that's where we cut. But call me foolish. I don't know. Right. Well, the last time we balanced the budget, NASA was like unheard of. They like did telescope stuff. That's about it. Right. Now, in Argentina, you can see certain cuts didn't work, right? Because it doesn't. Your operating costs in other areas go up. Right. So again, we don't know what's going to happen here. You can't just slash government because government was formed. Again, it was obviously out of control in Argentina, and that's what you're all using to slash everything. But government was formed to save money in certain areas. And then, so for the liberal side of it, they use that concept, in a run amok fashion, and they destroy the benefit of spending that money. So again, the key is what's called fiscal conservatism. But that means it has to be intelligent. Because if you cut $1 million here, it could cost you 10 million over there. And that's what's happening in Argentina. Right. Well, the problem is there's honest government people and there's dishonest government people. I'm an honest government person and I fix things for everybody the best I can. There's other people that just do it because, this is the thing that they do. Right. The honest government, today's honest government are kind of gone. It's just self-serving at this point. Right. Wow. Thank you, Larry. All right, part of the psychology they use to try to change people, to sexualize people, and especially sexualization with children, believe it or not, is to take the victim out of any type of family setting, any type of like church, where again, churches are the biggest offender, but the idea is for a normal person like myself. So you have this structure in society. Here's the children, and that's like when I went to the LDS church, it didn't feel normal. Kids are not generally not inserted in these adult scenarios. That they have their youth group, and that's it. That right, which again leads to the other issue, is you get one person that's like that. But again, if you remove the idea that this is a child, this is an adult, here's the child going to school, here's the child coming home on the bus. So the whole thing, again, I studied everything they were doing and attempted to do, right? And that was part of it, right? They're actually trying to destroy the order of social, I won't say social correctness, but social law, I guess, right? Again, what they did is they took things like clinical psychology and reverse engineered it to say, how do we cause this illness? That's what they did, and that's what they do. They'll go to hell for it, believe me. 100%. Thanks, Sonny. I had to get the bottom doors on the Ark. I got mostly everything done. So I finally got that ribbon. I didn't think it was going to work, but it came out pretty good. I got the ribbon wrapped around the arm. I have like a gold ribbon, but I kind of just wrapped around, and it works pretty good. I still have some things I have to do. I'm still going to search for some new lion heads. These are the worth for wear. I got to put some clay in a piece. I got to reform a piece of it. I got to take a look at my other lion head and see which one's better. It's telling me to do this one. I have some clay, air dry clay, and I think if I stick it in this with a spot cracked, it doesn't look horrible. But
I actually, at this point, I like these better than the other ones. The other ones are more realistic, like a 3D modeling or something, but it's just not. I don't know. Over time, I like these now. I got them for like $10 at Ross. That's another thing. You can't go to Ross and get something like this for $10 anymore. There's a whole lot of things that the tariffs did. Now, COVID did it also. They're just not as free as to send things over here, because the possibility of even if it gets sold for, okay, so Ross sells it for $10.50. They probably they pay maybe $6 for it at the most, right? But even at that point, the Chinese people were still making money, so they didn't care, man. They would just flood our zone with stuff because no matter what happens, they're going to make money,
right.
So again, we don't have money to spend $100 on a lion head, and still the choices and what's available, it ends up getting minimized. So there are reasons that tariffs stifle the availability of things. I mean, again, if you have a lot of money, if it costs $100 instead of $10.50, you buy it, right? Right. You just invest next week in the market again because the deep state says you can, and right. There's a Republican deep state and there's a Democrat deep state, and then some little offshoot things. Thanks, Larry. Kind of sucks because I'm not really as mobile today as I want to be. Got some things I got to do. Might just have to be a day of chill. Actually, hopefully I can drive over to Home Depot. I got to return something. But I tell you what, when I was putting the ark, after I got injured, I'm doing the last part in the ark. Hashem says, I'm about to put the Torah in there. It's like I can't even get my freaking a hat or a yarmulke on. Oh my God! Hashem's like, okay, go to your tallis, put your tallis on. So I put my tallis over my head, and it worked. Hashem said, use the black tallis. Oh shit! I'll get him. I'll get him back somehow. He's already plotting and planning it. It's my King Solomon, one of my King Solomon. They're the shawl type. They still qualify. You got a bunch of rich Jews, made rules. Made rules for everyone else that they can't afford, right? Right. Yeah, the Temple Institute of yesterday. A bunch of idiots with money. I mean, it's even unpatriotic to Israel to say that but there's no way the menorah look like that. There's no way. It looks like the one on the seal. I mean, maybe not exact, but that's the closest we have. Spend $3 million making that gold, whatever the hell it is. It's like a candelabra. I'm like, no, they didn't have technology like that. Right. It's believed that it was slightly crude. And when you look at the menorah, as it is on the seal, it looks a little bit like an ancient artifact, right? You look at the one they created at the Temple Institute, it looks like something from the 1800s. Right. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, everybody says it's the one on the seal. So now we look at some other thing. Well, whether we agree to Zionism or not, that was the menorah. Right. Did you ever see the other seals that they were thinking of? There's a news article on that somewhere, right? Or I think a couple. One with a lion. Right. I can't even get my yarmulke on this morning. I got my tallis on. Where the hell is the darn thing? Or my hat, my PA state flag hat. That disappeared. That was like the last thing. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Lord. Oh, did you like me in the tallis? Who said that? Did Eliezer worms? That's a black tallis. I guess they don't like the black tallis, huh? I'll just wear the black PA state hat. So one of the yogurts from Walmart was, and see that happened yesterday again, right? So when it powers up, right? So it powered up. There was no way. There's no way for you to increase security. There's just no way. No, I can see I could be married. I see this lady go by. I don't know if she's married or not, but I can look at them and look at, you know, what they're. I don't know their thoughts, but I could tell that she's amenable to men. Like there's these man haters everywhere, but it's this weird phenomena where they hate certain men, they love other men, and the men they're actually abusing are the men they love. But then but the man they hate is the man that's abusing them. It's transference. So this is a phenomena they work into their, because the bosses in the other communities, they operate the women into these things, right? The Me Too guys are hanging out with the Me Too women, like the guys that are abusive like that, and then they blame some slap. Now, every once in a while, of course, it's a legitimate case, but again, it's the same thing. It's the same modus operandi of everything else. A few legitimate cases, and then they point the finger at whoever they're going to make money for destroying. Right. I mean, just think. You think the social media guys aren't Me Too people, but they're oh yeah, Me Too, yeah, power, power to it. Right. Yeah. Elon beats it by providing a lifelong financing to his victims, his Me Too victims. Baby, I love you a long time. But it's ludicrous to do what I'm saying. See, they're going, well, but it's better than nothing. No, it's not better than nothing because it's fraud. It's being used to oppress certain people, and the other people, they like the pedophiles. The real pedophiles walk around paying PIs to point the finger at everyone else. Right. It's just like Weinstein. Oh, do you think it stopped after Weinstein got caught? Right. That was the key why there was no prosecution of any of the investigators. Right. Because they didn't want it to stop. Meanwhile, they're going, me too, me too. His men were hired to destroy those women. They knew the playing field. They knew what they were doing. Right. In fact, they may have destroyed Anne Heck. Well, the coroner in was LA, I believe he or she sent a secret message in the coroner's report. And he's John William, Pennsylvania coroner. What, Lancaster County? What? You sent a message in the report. Right. Somehow he was killed. Probably same thing. It's probably psychological murder. Right. What's the guy's name? Storm. Yeah. Right here. The guy was missing from like York County or something. Gang time Curry. I think a mafia. Yeah, Mafia Justice Department sometimes. Roy Ray, missing state attorney Ray. That's not where I want to search it. Missing Pennsylvania state attorney Ray. His last name. Ricker. All right. Oh, here it is. It's on January 15th, 2025. CBS News. Pittsburgh. Police are still searching for answers almost 20 years after a former Pennsylvania district attorney disappeared. Investigator says the car was found abandoned and his laptop and hard drive were later pulled out of a river. I mean, their psyop's pretty. He could be dead. I mean, their psyop is pretty bad, right? Can make anything happen. I mean, like in John Luna's case, you could stab yourself in the back. At least that's what I heard. I can't remember if it was in the official report. Right. I think it was online. Could have been drugged. I mean, being an attorney, though, you never know who did it. I mean, I'm gonna say you never know who did it, but I mean, the number of people that could have done it, just paying somebody, right? You never know. I mean, rich people will have a cop. Will try to, rich people will try to destroy, not have him killed, because that's pretty far out there. But will destroy a cop for a speeding ticket, right? Right. I agree. So a lot of times, you that's what it's about. Like a couple of the cops get, trying to block me from speaking. A couple of cops get hired. There's a metaphysical block. So some of the cops get, coworkers get hired to take the person out, right? Start rumors, and then what they want them to do is put something in their food. Once they do that, or wipe it on their door, their keyboard at work. If they wipe something on your keyboard at work, you could absorb it. I can't be sure, but I swear. Okay, what happened is all of a sudden we all had our own individual computers at our desks. Never had that. Right. You just had you walk over there, use the computer. Right. And again, it's a progression. It's normal. But all of a sudden, all the Christian pages that I was going to, they were whack, totally whack. So again, there was a definite psyop move. Right. And again, I don't know if the rest of the world saw what I saw because I was going through the Justice Department system. Right. And I swear there was quite possibly something afoot as far as that. Right. Oh, they were trying to kill me hard. Trying to treat me like a red-headed gricker. Right. Or Luna. They were high off of it. They fully were aware of the capabilities of what they were doing. Because John had just killed himself. So they were high on that. Probably were paid a large Weinstein bonus for it, for John's death. Right. And then now they were trying to get that with me. So most of them were money grubbers. Money over anything of substance. Right.
You know, record kid was killed, felt, and carried off by a grizzly bear or something, or a black bear or whatever. Well, so I often do that. Go have you live in a camp in the woods for for the rest of your life until you die. Right. Okay. But that looks like a mafia hit or something. Well, it's not. You have to understand the time period, and again, it still probably happens, but that's the shock factor. So everybody in Gricker's office is fresh to be indoctrinated. It's right to be indoctrinated once he's dead, missing, like that. Right. Okay. You don't want that happening to you and your family. Right. Agreed. That was the years for the hostile takeover of the government. Well, you essentially billionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires had the same interest as, say, the mafia. They didn't want law enforcement to operate outside of where they wanted the government to, law enforcement to operate, because they go to jail. So there was a lot of, if you remember the 90s, there was a lot of prosecutions of the mob, a lot of real RICO cases, and not just poor black people, or, again, at that point, they weren't poor. They were making a lot of money, but from drug sales, crack, right? But a lot of real RICO mafia cases, a lot of wealthy people, being arrested and charged and prosecuted. CIA, Hansen, Ames. So they all had an interest in hostilely taking over law enforcement. Again, we see the same thing happening today. The Democrats are in, they go after this person, Republicans in, they go after that person. Right. When they're both in, they go after me. Because I work for God, for real, not for steel. Right. Most people in religion are stealing their religion away from God, if not the money and sanity away from the people. Just amazing what the world looks like here. I mean, I think the colors and just, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's the oxygen rich environment. I don't know. The Midwest and the Southwest are garbage. Right. No, I'd have been, if I got here 10 years ago, I'd be totally healthy, probably. Right. If I could have left New Mexico and came back to Pennsylvania, I couldn't get here for nothing, psychologically, physically, or metaphysically. Right. But again, these people what they do is the people that attack me get promoted and get given money. So they have status on the planet and they can project. I was trying to figure out what they were doing with this one home here. They took the skirting off and measuring a bunch of things. But it wasn't just like the skirting, like they were replaced the skirting. It just measured the skirting. They were measuring, like, I don't know, all sorts, the roof. And I don't know if something's sinking or what, because I think, well, the dude that was measuring, I don't know if he lived there or what, but he had a black jacket with a a white emblem and it said PA on it. So I don't know if he worked for the government or what. Well, now one thing about Hakeem Jeffries is he's getting out inside, so that may be what attracted the guy threatening to kill him. Right? So both sides will pick him up, and maybe it's just a thought for that guy, but he doesn't like that he gets thoughts from Hakeem Jeffries, right? Or inference again. Sometimes it's like just get inference. Yeah, I think it looks like Trump's going to crash and burn. I don't know what he's doing when disapproval is pretty high. I don't think he cares. Makes me think he has health problems. Like he doesn't give a shit. He's going to be out of here soon. I think that's his haste. He doesn't know how long he's going to live. Right. Well, I don't. Like I said, I don't agree 100% with what they're doing. I do everything, or not everything. I do a lot of things different, but yeah, at least they're doing something, right? Right. See, this probably should be deputized to Hank Myers. You can't say that even because you're going in the same direction, and it's gonna land people in prison. Right. Again, a lot of the threats are coming up. Right. So this is the same thing that cursed the first administration. It actually takes you down. So again, what happens is you got a lot of money, having all those billionaires and all that around you gives you the power to make mistakes. Right? It's just the system's fault. So if you have money, you're right, not wrong. But at a certain point, if you use up a certain level of your power, then you become wrong. Right? And that's where Trump doesn't do so well because he's everything's all he goes bankrupt next thing you know he's a gazillionaire again, so well it's just he's lucky, but he's not always lucky, and that's obvious. Right. It says Proud Boy the candidate said Proud Boys should be deputized to hunt migrants, it says GOP candidate. Now if you wanted to say that bounty hunters should be we should put contracts out to hunt migrants that we don't that were like serious criminal migrants, maybe that, but right. Well, because see, that could develop into the administration, MAGA attacks the administration because they won't deputize the Proud Boys, which is something totally impossible because they can't pass a background investigation to begin with. Right. Okay, so here's what I was talking about to slow down. Right. Noam shared doctored video portraying black teens as ICE threats. Right. Well, that's why I was talking about Stonehenge. A lot of that kind of stuff's happening. They used to do it to me all the time, like the first administration. Because you'll get into a groove, and then you just like bam, bam, I can't miss. Same idea, You're just lucky, Bam, I can't miss. I can't, and then bam, the big one. Ah. I guess I'm getting the iron cup. I'm getting the iron cup. I'm actually I was putting up my curtains. I have some really nice black sunblock curtains that I have, or blackout curtains, I guess they call them. So I was getting them all up and came crashing to the ground. Well, I believe that I read Drudge, but a lot of his stuff's over the line. But you got to read it to know what they're saying. Right? Like if I didn't read this, I wouldn't know that you were posting things that were, like I don't know, it was AI or what, or photoshopped or what, right? Okay, so this AI psychosis, big FCC, I'm not sure what that is, but what might happen is when they isolated me, they would come online with what do they call that? Catfish. They try to catfish me, the investigators. And at one point, they tried to turn me gay by telling me all the women I was speaking to were men. I mean, they were insane, man. They tried to put me on everything conservative by trying to make me gay, but I investigated it. Right? No, I never had a gay relationship. I forget Sarkozy's wife was Carla Bruni. Right? See, this is important. What's going on in Asia with Mandione? See, we all get online, so the quickest way into your life is online, right? But like I was saying, that homeless woman that I used to help when she showed up at my apartment complex because she found some Christians in Arizona. They got her off the streets, got her straight. Kind of, she got to Santa Fe and hooked up with some people and some Christians, and they got her into programs, and life came back for her. She's online, and I could see what they were doing to her mind. Because if you're on, again, they have a psyop for everything. If you're on, she had a pretty good deal with government assistance, but she's not going to have a ton of money. Uh, Again, the whole thing played out like, well, she scored because her lawyer got her back money, so she got used to having money, but she was still doing well. She wasn't doing anything great. So all of a sudden, she went back to work, and I tried to explain to her when it all came fresh out, you can't go back to work because you don't know, you're disabled. You can't and she used to tell me that I can't figure things out. I'm not, I've been on the streets. I don't know how to do things. Can you help me? And I used to help her. But again, part of the psyop is to pull her away from my help. So she believes in the BS online that they're putting in front of her versus me. Right. So they got her wanting something, and it just destroyed her whole thing because she can't go back to work. She can't manage her life. She needs a somewhat managed life. I mean, she was fine. She was going to church, and the church would help her so often. She didn't have a lot of money, but when she finally just threw it all away, she had a nice 2-bedroom apartment, right? And again, it's like she can't think that, okay, I told you you're driving for Uber, but your car's not going to last driving for Uber. What are you going to do when you don't have a car? Right. She had a dog that she kept for years. She had a car. No, they psyoped her to go homeless. They do it to me all the time. Right. It involves people on the street too. Now, the question: is how are the people on the street involved? I'm sure there's physical operators.
Right, and she used to go panhandle, and they'd hand her food, and she'd eat it, and I'm like, "You can't do that." Right. Okay, no, we had a fight with them. Sometimes I'll send them into ladyboy land. I've seen that before. Like, because they can use that against the person. Right. He was actually beat up by ladyboys. I believe he didn't. The doctors just were unknowledgeable, right? And kind of just put him into surgery when they should have just held off, right? I hope that's not political. Mary Constantine alleged affair with Abe before she set herself on fire. Hope it's just not a political. Like they shouldn't be put in the news if it's just political. I just don't get how somebody like. There's one thing like playing forceful sex, and then another thing is like raping someone. I just have no idea how people get off on that. Like this one guy here, who's like a good Samaritan let him in to charge his phone. Right? Like, how do you go from that to? Because it's like, I guess I'm not wired like that. Right? It because it has to be like some sort of emotion for me. Right? Where's he live? That's Scottish football. That's why the deep state blocks me from even speaking to women because the women will be attracted because I'm real. Most guys are bullshit. Right. Right. You don't stay 13 years in an abusive marriage unless you're real. Right. Get the food in there. Let's see. Like George said, talk about state charges. Yeah, but see, there's a difference between corporate church and real church. Silicon Valley's new clash: missionaries versus mercenaries. Right. Thanks, Larry. Well, of course, take it over. It's quits. It's not a hostile takeover to them. Right. It was going on anyway in the year 2000. Right. In the 90s, it began the hostile takeover of the church. Well, the first part is they weren't. Most of them didn't take part in the church. They just didn't want it to go into certain areas. Just like, oh, don't look at other people's money. I'm a billionaire. Don't look at my money. Just realize, you know.
The Antichrist is making you look at my money. I mean, it's ludicrous. I mean, it's one thing just to, but that was the whole thing. You got to be part of the deep state to be in a church, right? Thank you, Larry. Or to be leading a church and then in a church. Well, they saw me as succeeding in anything that I would do because I was intelligent, and God was with me, obviously. So the last thing they wanted was for me to be in the church and turn it back to where it's supposed to be, right? Even asleep, it was obvious I'm not them, right? Yeah, they see themselves as superior, but again, they're using like 100 people and $1 million to destroy you. Money's not real to them, right? 100%. Yeah, the laptop thing's weird, right? I'm almost sure CIA can do that, even back then. No, they get you to believe bullshit, all of you. There is no perfect investigative tool. Right. That's one of their mistakes. They want to show me how powerful they are. They get off on it. But I know they can do things like that. It's just like Jonathan Nichols. Even if you have video, you don't know if the video is real. Right.
Yeah, it was them over there. Right. Well, even if he took like he went somewhere or he committed suicide, it still could be that same type of hit, right? Somebody online was killing non-corrupt law enforcement people. Right? Well, again, psychology, the computer. He probably the victims don't even. It takes years to realize that it's everywhere. Right? The words in your feeds, things like that. Right? The moods being set. Like just went through a period of time putting a bunch of not murders, bunch of deaths and illness and sickness. They wanted me to read it. It's like to try to cause me to be a hypochondriac, right? And be depressed. Thanks, sorry. That's all that comes through my feeds. I'm not like clicking on it, so it shouldn't come up, right? Right. Thanks, sorry. Dauphin County man sentence. Okay, this guy Perry. Person's life, just programming their psychology so they're receptive to whatever the suggestion. Right. Most professional investigators would just cut it off before it got to that point. Right. Well, because you become the thing that sexualizes the person into it. 100%. Yeah, that's the PI scam. That's the Harvey Weinstein scam. That's what they would have did that to Rose McGowan if they could have. Right. If they could have took her mind down to the point of having sex with kids, they'd have got her. She couldn't say anything. Right. Right. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Now, a real investigator wouldn't have waited that long. He would just probably cut it off. Right. I agree. Well, you're dating a guy with, yeah, he's not innocent. He wants that fame. So he sits there because he even says, I'm like, oh, I did it when I was all said and done. And what did you do? You spent 6 months sexualizing somebody, using your power, your will to create a sex crime. 100%. Just like the government won't block all the stuff they need to block so the people don't turn into that because they use it, right? Including other people blocking men from relationships with women. 100%. Yeah, they create pedophiles. They're sick. Okay, so I don't know what happened in this thing. They're alleging that Florida scrubbed data showing U.S. citizens swept up in immigration arrests. It happens again. The numbers of arrests that are going on, the numbers aren't outside the norm of people being caught up. I mean, I myself, I was frisked before when I was young, about 19 years old, maybe. Right. An officer came up and he detained me. He frisked me, and then when I went to get up, the like a sergeant or lieutenant like popped me back down the car, and he did it himself again. And they were looking for somebody with a gun. It was like, what am I being held for? He said armed robbery. I'm like, okay. And then it took like maybe a minute more. And it's like, they found him. He's over, and they woo, and they went off. They went off over to wherever that guy was, right? And then, thanks, Larry. Thank you, sir. I this guy I thought was Dinkles. Dinkles was a 15-year-old hitman in Baltimore, and it wasn't Dinkles. The detective went and fingerprinted him, and then let him go. So again, these things happen. It's part of law enforcement. But when you have, like, let's say the average arrests are 100 a day, let's just say in a community, Now the average arrests, or interactions, for detention, whatever, is 1,000 a day. Obviously, the number of interactions with people that are just innocent will increase. So again, the idea is, don't be paranoid of what reality is. I mean, you're not outside. I guarantee it's not outside the norm. It's probably less, actually, with the number of interactions that uh, ICE and Border Patrol are having. The number of mistakes are actually less than average, probably. Right? Agreed. If you do that per capita type of thing, not per capita, but do statistics, probabilities. Right? Well, the way I should do it is, or DHS, they should have and I think you did it a couple times, or maybe it just happened. The influencers should bring up these points first. Then you, like, when it's these kind of fringe things, then you poll it, and then you make an official statement. But that gives it time to go, that was fake, that was doctored. Right? They can laugh at the influencer, and the influencers go, brr, and that's it. But yeah, when you're an official government agency, if you put in doctored stuff, or something that's AI or whatever it is, it's not as easy to back out of it. Right. Yeah, but interaction with U.S. citizens is normal for any law enforcement entity, including ICE. Right. Right. So again, it's the only thing is, the Miramar and Martinez case is kind of fuzzy. I'm not sure what happened there. Right. But like some of the stuff in that case, like, oh, the agent drove home, and his assignment finished, just like the other guy. There's two of them. There's one's a big guy, and one's the guy that was part of that case. Right. They just, when you're off assignment, you drive home or you fly home. It just depends. They probably had him drive there because they needed the vehicle for the assignment. Right. Well, the vehicle is assigned to his home office. I believe that's what happened. Right. And he just went back to his home office because, like, I would go on assignment for 3 weeks. When 3 weeks was done, I'd either fly home or drive home, depending where I was. Right. Thank you, Larry. Like right around 9/11, I don't know. I guess it was because, unless they were just chicken, I don't know. But I think it was because everybody was making money at the airports, so they never really wanted any extra assignments. For a while, I would go out of assignment for 3 weeks, go back for a week, go out for 3 weeks, go back for a week, go out for 3 weeks. because they lost control of the psychological operation because I was interacting with other people, right, on assignment, right. Someone said interacting with people that considered you a great deputy, right. You're one of the few people that actually did your job. Like, oh, yeah, there's definitely a big psyop against all of this. Well, it doesn't make any sense. What they're saying is like bullshit. There are mistakes. I mean, there's going to be mistakes in any operation at that level, that size. But I uh, I told the people I told the immigrants in Santa Fe, don't do what they say. I told them, it's going to get you all in trouble. Right? Don't do what they're telling you to do, like the deep state. Right? Yeah, now they're being deported. It takes years sometimes, but right. I said, pass it around. Don't do what the deep state tells you to do. Right? You know what's wrong. Don't do it. Right? Yeah, but you can't. Like here, this is a stupid news article. Federal vehicle in Chicago ramming case may have had repairs before defense looked at it. Can the court do anything about it? Well, there should be photos somewhere, if it's not in videos. I mean, well, they're going to get the thing back into action as fast as they can, right? They have a limited number of vehicles, right? And of course, that person had to drive it home at some point, right? Well, but this is like normal government thoughts. They're trying to stutter me. Normal government option. Parenti said he was concerned moving the vehicle so far away could leave it open to being altered. His concerns. Another hearing 4 days later, a government attorney had said some repairs may have been processed or at least approved, but couldn't say whether any work had actually been done. Well, this is the way the government works. You're in an accident. You have an officer that's or a non-officer. I don't know if they use law enforcement. There's somebody assigned to get that vehicle fixed, any vehicle fixed. That's their assignment, right? And the first thing they do is schedule repairs. It's just the way those things work. You don't leave a broken car sitting around, right? 100%. If it's not totaled, you get it fixed, and it's ASAP, right? Most likely, the person just went home to their home assignment. Right?
All right, so shows the video of Martinez and was following closely. Right, again, they're not allowed to be there. This is not right. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is you have this. Actually, let me show it.
Video footage obtained by the Chicago Sun-Times appears to show 3 of the vehicles the feds say were involved in an incident Saturday in which a Border Patrol agent shot a woman after
All right, I'm
prosecution
going to show
were
you something
involved
here.
in an incident. 3 of the vehicles the feds say were involved in an incident Saturday in which a Border Patrol agent shot a woman after prosecutors
Let's see
say
if I
she
came up on my video. Okay, so here you're going. I want to post this photo. What if that was your local police officer, and these two people were stalking the officer? It's not allowed, correct? Correct. I don't know where your minds are. It is not lawful for citizens to stalk an officer on patrol. That's stalking, all of you. Their intention is to cause fear. I don't care what they say. They sit online all night talking about causing violence and everything else to law enforcement officers, right? Which is, I think, the reality of the statement. No, they're stalking him. They're on both sides of him stalking him. Quite frankly, to do that around a federal agent. You could be killed, and it could be articulated. 100%. So, if you replace that Border Patrol vehicle with one of your local police officer vehicles, period, you would begin to realize just how unlawful and illegal that is. 100%. No, it's stalking. I would charge him with stalking. I agree. Federal stalking. All you would need to make a stalking case, I imagine, would be conversation online by those individuals that is somehow threatening in nature,
and then that particular photo, and then you're finished. The stalking case is finished, right? Or is convicted. Right. But she's a doxer, so right away that's stalking, right? The woman is a doxer, so right away she is guilty of stalking. How do you spell doxer? The two X's. But I'm telling you, X is backing the immigrants. Whoever works at X, I think it's the H1B guys, they're backing the immigrants. They're hacking my stuff. There's an outside chance that it's not X, but I believe it's H1B guys. By being where she is. Right. All you need is a one threat type of like negative. It doesn't have to be like a violent threat, just a negative statement against Border Patrol or federal agents or whatever it is by the person in that left vehicle, and they're guilty of stalking. Right. I mean, it has to be kind of an actionable negative statement, right? An intention to commit some sort of negative act against the person in that vehicle. It's just like being a Christian in government. With the vehicle on the, or with the other vehicle. I don't know which vehicle. The other driver involving involving in those logs there is an intention for a negative action against federal agents, border patrol, etc. Period. Then, by the nature of the location of that vehicle, that person is then guilty of stalking. PI license or no PI license. F them and F their families. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.